Hey guys, this is Coach Redpill speaking to you live. I'm joined by Tim from Rarefied Road, and we're going to be shooting the shit about motorcycles. And Tim and I had never spoken before, and just now, 3 minutes ago, we started shooting the shit, and he's like a great guy, and I think that this is going to be like a lot of fun. Tim, welcome. Thanks for being on, man.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Very kind.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I mean, I've been like watching your channel. And I don't understand. You got like 4,500 subscribers. I don't know who you pissed off or whatever, because you're terrific, man. What's that all about? And you've been around for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a little while now. I would say it's probably more just because I'm not the best at publicizing or promoting it. I think that's primarily what it boils down to. I think consistency, maybe a little bit with the posting. I try and be as on it as I can, but obviously it takes a huge amount of time to edit, as you well know, especially when you're running other work and stuff. So
yeah, it takes a lot of time and effort. Yeah, and so look, guys, you guys listening, okay? Rarefied Road. The link is in the description below. You're fools if you don't subscribe to the channel, because it's terrific. It's about all things motorcycles, and well. You know, I wanted to talk about starter bikes, but just before we started the show, we were talking a little bit about the cafe racer that you're building. Why don't you give people a little bit of a background on that?
Okay. So yeah, well, I guess if I start the proper origins of it, really, is that I started at the Bike Shed Motorcycle Club in London. It's a club that focuses mainly on custom bikes, and because I started there, and I'd started the YouTube channel by this point as well, I was looking a lot of at loads of custom bikes and what people could do to theirs. And at the same sort of time, I don't even know if it was because I mentioned it to my brother, but my brother basically decided that he wanted to do a custom build as well. And he picked up this BMW for the purpose, which he wasn't really too fussed on making the video. And I was like, well, I've just started a channel, which you well know, being my sibling. Maybe this would be good content for me if I could get up there and record it. So he kind of very politely held off for me to get up and document a few things. So we picked up it was BMW R100 RT is the technical name for it, but it's the kind of the plusher BMW airhead, they call it, the Boxer Twin, and it was in a decent enough shape, but it had all this fairing on it and all this bulky kind of, I don't want to say nonsense.
People get right.
And it wasn't a police bike, actually. It was. It looks that way, though. I could understand the confusion because it had almost boat-like fairing. It was ridiculous. The fiberglass attached to this thing, and it's just how they came. And people are actually quite fond of that. I know from comments that I've obviously received from the videos that we put up. Some people do get quite protective over the old bikes, and I do understand that mentality, because obviously there's not as many of them around. And I think if it was pristine, we probably would have been a little bit more delicate with it, and it would have felt like a crime to tamper with it. But it wasn't in the best condition. We needed to do stuff to it, which essentially means taking all of this fairing off. So just to kind of placate that kind of audience, it's a lot of effort putting it back on. It's taken about 3 years to take all that stuff off in the first place.
Yeah, when did you guys start this project?
Oh, I don't even. I think it was 2015 potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe 2016 if I'm being generous to myself, but it's been at least 3 years, I know, for sure.
Yeah, and what's funny, you guys have done like 4. Yeah, you've done like 4 videos, right? And like they come every like 9 months, and you keep saying. Yeah. I've noticed in the description of every video, you're like, "Oh, the next one is gonna be like in 3 months." You fuckers are lying.
Yeah, I know. I'm very, very sorry about that. And it's luckily people keep clicking on it. I don't know how I keep sort of goading them into it and keep fooling them. You know, some of the thumbnails I put are a little bit more tempting than others. I wouldn't say they're clickbait, but they're getting close.
Yeah, the thing is, see, look, I'm gonna sound like a dick sucking fanboy right now, but it really is true. Like, Tim, you and your brother, I don't know how much work you guys have done, like who's been like done the lion's share of the work. I'm not going to get into that hornet's nest, but really the work is extraordinary, you know, because in the last episode, which came out like, I think it was 3-4 months ago, right?
It was,
yeah. You guys pretty much like assembled the bike without any electronics, but you had the tank, the frame, the engine, the front forks, front tire, rear tire, shocks, and I think you basically had the whole bike except for the electronics, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, basically. Let me try and get a little screen share up
Oh,
so I can actually show you it.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so basically, it's moved on a little bit from then, and I'm actually going to be going up really quite soon to do a little update as well. So
yeah.
that
There
was,
it
if
is.
that's showing up, there you go. That's the stage we're
Oh
at right
wow,
now. Literally,
wow,
from about 5 days ago. That's where we're up to.
wow. That is okay. Okay, so in the last video, see, it didn't have the BMW R100 sticker there on the
Nope.
side, and it didn't have the white walls. The white
No.
walls is fucking shocking. And oh man, that adds. That adds. That was a good decision.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
my brother will be very happy by that because he's gotten a certain amount of flack from my dad for whether or not he should have gone with white walls. So he'll be happy to hear that you
no,
liked it.
no, no, no. No, it makes a statement. It's
Yeah,
eccentric, no question, but it fits, you know, especially with like the license plate holder on the back,
yeah,
you
the
know.
bracket on the back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it there's something, it fits. It works. God
Thank
damn.
you.
Okay, this you should do a video on how you've gotten it to this stage because it's looking
I know I will
fine.
do. Yeah, no, I will do. I keep doing sort of periodic updates and things like that, and I do more videos on it. Except that until there's kind of more to tell, I didn't want to saturate it and just keep posting stuff about it. Really, and it has taken us longer than it really, realistically should have done. But as anyone who's done this sort of stuff would know, like the illustrator, I'm sure could tell you that it takes longer than you think it will, and the patience
Oh
you
yeah,
need for it
yeah,
is quite substantial.
yeah.
And I mean, a lot of it actually at the early stages, which I mentioned in the videos, was waiting for third parties, stuff that we've sent parts away to get, restored or cleaned or painted, whatever.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get these things back. So that does hold the process up a little bit. It can speed up, obviously, if you can do everything in-house, which a lot of custom shops, even the bigger custom shops, can't necessarily do. There's always something that you need to send away for, essentially, with these things. And that tends to halt the process just a little bit. So they're my excuses out of the way.
Hey, by the way, Tim, do you have a picture of the bike as it was originally?
I do, yes. Let me find one of those as well. Yeah, so as I say, it's a passion project, and as with passion projects, they tend to take a little bit longer than you potentially would like them
Well,
to.
the
Let me get
problem
this
also
picture.
is that you got your real life stuff that gets in the way, and so you
Yeah,
wind up, you know, you want to devote every hour that you can, but in the end, you've got the job, the girlfriend, the this, that, the other, and then all of a sudden, you've got maybe an hour or two per week, and sometimes I'll bet like a few weeks go by. Yeah, this is like the original. This is what it looked like
yeah.
originally. This is like the first video. This is
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
It looks buoyant. It looks.
Well, you know, I
It
mean,
looks
I
like a
think that
photo
you could just take it out to the marina and just powder around, no problem on that boat. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks. Where's the propeller? What the hell happened?
Yeah.
You know?
We'd taken the outboard off already, so that was
Oh, I
what you're
see.
not seeing
Oh,
in
you'd
this.
already like yeah, because the flotation devices. I mean, the panniers are already gone, right? So
Yes. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, so I don't want to be rude to people who do like these kind of bikes, and there is something really nice, and I've kind of softened on this as well. Originally, I kind of all of the extra kind of faff to the bike, I was kind of resistant to that myself. But speaking to people, I do understand the desire to kind of keep some of these things.
well,
Um,
Tim, like I'm a lot older than you, right? I lived through the '80s. They weren't that cool when you were there, okay?
okay.
And so after the fact, I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, even at the time, we thought it was a little bit. Leave up the picture of the bike as it is now, man. That's a beautiful. That's a beautiful.
Yeah, happily.
Yeah.
Let me find it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be dead honest. I mean, like totally honest with you. I like the bike as it is very much. I don't like the lettering, the BMW lettering on the front forks. That seems
Sure.
a little bit, you know, why bother, you know? And I guess I'm not keen on the because it's a beautiful gas tank, and
Mhm.
the BMW R100 logo. I don't know if you guys painted it or is this a sticker?
No, it's that is a livery. It's a sticker that you can take off now. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go without because it doesn't really need it. because
Yeah,
everybody who knows what bike it is, right?
sure.
At worst, people will say, is that an R80 or R100? I mean, I think
True.
that,
Yeah, true.
but like with a flat engine, I mean, what else could it be? It's not going to be a Kawasaki, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
but no, it's
heavily
beautiful.
modded. Yeah, no, thank
Yeah,
you very much. Thank you.
that would be a mod. Yeah. Oh, what are you driving? A beer? Oh, it's a Kawasaki,
Yeah.
buddy. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite, I've got a few because obviously I still work at the bike shed. My favorite is one of my colleagues has got this old Yamaha thing. It's a proper Frankenstein job, but it's the great thing about it is that anyone who walks up to it just doesn't know what it is at all.
Oh, really? Like
And
a total
I
Frankenstein bike.
oh, complete Frankenstein. As in, I think the rear swing arm had been they've been fabricated from scratch, so it's not even from another bike. But I love the fact that anyone who walks up to it can't tell what it is. I really quite enjoy that in a kind of sadistic way.
Well,
Because he has to explain it.
yeah, about the bike shed. For those of you who don't know, which is probably going to be the majority, the bike
Yeah.
shed is basically like a cafe club in London where people who love bikes and modded bikes and custom bikes, they hang out and just stare at each other's bikes. I mean, if they
Yeah.
were girlfriends, it would be weird, but. but but no, everybody's like hanging out, checking each other's bikes out, in a very lascivious way. And
Yeah, I mean, if it was a girlfriend, it would be a swingers club. It's
yeah,
you.
exactly. Check out the struts on that baby. Yeah, but there's a bike, man. Let me just show something.
Yeah, sure.
Wait,
We'll
wait.
close
No,
it down.
let me not do this. Hang on. Just give me a
No, it's
second.
fine. But yeah, I appreciate some people don't necessarily know where that place is, but it's a really quite a cool kind of culture surrounding it. It stems from the kind of Ace Cafe era in London, which was obviously huge, and most people tend to know. So this is kind of an evolution of the that sort of culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Which unfortunately for the riding style is, well, I say unfortunately, fortunately, really, because people tended to kill themselves when they're trying to reach 100 miles an hour around London. But the racing aspect, the speed aspect on the streets where it wasn't necessarily safe isn't there, but the custom bikes and the appreciation of these vehicles is still there.
No, I think that okay, I'm not a speed demon, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a Ducati Scrambler. It's 2017 Scrambler, and I live out here in Ukraine. And the other day, I took it out to Poltava, which is
Mhm.
about 150 kilometers away, and I pushed it up to 191 kilometers. It was a straight road, it was like perfectly safe, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But like, yeah, once in a while. For the most part, I like to keep it under 80. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just not a speed demon, and I don't quite understand the urge to go that fast. That fast. Guys say, "Oh, just beyond control or pushing the envelope or stuff like that." I guess that's just not my speed. Not my scene. I mean,
No, which is fair enough. I mean, but you do say, I mean, obviously you've been up to that speed once because everyone's kind of curious of these things, right? Oh, there's the bike
yeah,
shed. I can see.
yeah, yeah,
Is that what you just called it? Nice, yeah.
yeah.
So that's BMW. Yeah, that's an ahead as well. That's nice.
Yeah, this is a guy called Connor, and this is an R80, right?
Yes.
And hopefully everybody's seeing it. Yeah, you guys are all seeing it. This guy, he did this bike, and it's just incredible the level of just the level of artistry in this, and like and I gotta admit that your bike, the bike that you guys are putting together,
Mm.
is up there. I mean, it's like yeah, put it back up. Put it back up. I really like this.
Okay. I will. We'll change those details that you mentioned, but other than that, we'll keep it the same.
Yeah, because I guess what happens to me is that insofar as cafe racers and stuff, I prefer them like more minimalist. I think that's the whole aesthetic of the bike.
Yeah, no, I know, I completely agree with you. And there's things that on this bike I would have changed myself. It is my brother's. So he bought it. He's the one that's kind of customized it, and all of the kind of accenting cues. He's taken advice from me and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's his bike, so he's
Okay.
chosen these things, and
Hey,
he's resistant
mind
to
asking
a little bit.
how much did it cost originally? And this is a loaded question. How much
Yeah.
have you guys put into it?
I don't know whether I can, you know, I can. We were sort of thinking about potentially selling it in the future, but I know my brother is dead set on keeping it now, so it probably doesn't
Yeah,
matter too much. But he bought it, I think, for about 2,500. If it wasn't that, it was just over, and he's
two and a half thousand
probably
pounds.
sorry, yeah, £2,500, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's
Okay.
up to probably about 5,000, 5,500 now in terms of the parts that he's put on, welding of frames, spray paints, and things like that.
So I mean, this is not his labor, but the parts and anything he's sent away to have fabricated or painted or what have you.
Yeah, that is an important part actually, or distinction is that that's not including that wouldn't be what you'd put as labor.
Yeah.
And technically, if you were going to sort of sell this on, pass it on,
Oh yeah, the
you'd be
labor.
listing it as shed built rather than professionally built because obviously it's our first go at it. But I know that it's something that we're keen to do in the future as well, or keep doing. And I think when you were speaking to the illustrator last
Mm-hmm.
time that I caught the video.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the point you brought up that this is a really nice thing. If you're into bikes or you're just into mechanics, it's quite a cathartic. It can be infuriating as hell, but it's quite a cathartic process to build your own bike or to kind of take something apart. And bikes are quite easy to do that with,
Yeah.
or at least easier than a car would be. Because it gives you a different appreciation when you realize the amount of effort that goes into this thing and the amount of engineering or the skill set required for the engineering to make any of these bikes, even in the first place, from the manufacturers when they're making them in-house.
Yeah.
It gives you a sort of a more rounded appreciation of the whole thing, which I really like. And I think it's useful knowledge for anyone. If anyone can do it, it's well worth doing because I think it's quite rewarding.
Well, I think also it's a motorcycle is the simplest complex mechanical device that you can screw around with and make your own. Because
Yeah.
like a car, it's just too complicated. It's too big. It's too big of a
Yeah.
project. Even if you get like a little car, I would guess that maybe the VW Beetle was the last production car that you could really mess around with. But
Yeah. I mean, that kind of era, right? The VW Beetles and Minis and things. And you can see that because they were customized a lot more than, how many customized cars do you see nowadays on the road? Genuinely.
Zero. None.
Unless they're professionally built. You might see the occasional one that they take to actually, meetups and track days and things. But Joe Public aren't generally modifying their own cars.
No, you
Not as
can't
much.
do that. But with a bike, you can. And
Yes.
it's not that expensive. Okay, I mean, like your brother has put a lot of money in. He's put in what 5,500 pounds plus the 2,500 of the original bike. That's 8,000 pounds. That's roughly $10,000, right? Excuse me. $10,000. That's objectively a lot of money. But the illustrator has gone and he's got no money, and he's put like I think it was $1,500 for the bike itself.
Yeah.
And everything in it is just sweat equity, and it's been relative. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think it might have been maybe like $2,000 that he's so far put into the bike. It's all been just like just hustling and trying to get like the cheapest parts and trading and doing whatever is necessary to get the build done. And and that's the thing. It's easy to build. Okay. I mean, it's not that complicated. And the thing is, see, I've been following this trend for a while because I'm thinking that I'd like to be doing my own cafe racer at some point. The problem I have is that I got a lot of responsibilities, like IRL responsibilities and things that take up my time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's hard,
Yeah, no, it is. It takes a huge amount of time. It really does.
Yeah. But let me ask you, I want to ask you something completely different. I didn't know that you actually work at the bike shed.
Yeah, I started a little while ago, and it was around the same. It all sort of happened around the same sort of time as that I passed my test, and then got into bikes and started the YouTube channel, and went to the bike shed. The bike shed was completely serendipitous. I literally walked in at the right time and just said, "Have you got any jobs going?" Because liked it, and I was kind of going through a transition at the time.
Wait,
And
I hope it's not a serious transition. That's a loaded word nowadays, man.
yeah. Yeah. But
Oh.
yeah, my work was going through a little bit of a change, so I decided to just see and sort of branch out and see if I could work somewhere else that I was interested in as well.
Uh-huh.
But I walked in at the right time, and I just asked Richard Gunn, who works in the retail side as well, just asked him if he could. And by the way, his Instagram is incredible. He still works there, but he sort of moved on. He takes a lot of the photos for the shop now, but still a good friend. And he basically just said, "Oh yeah, great. When do you want to start?" I started pretty much the next week at the bike shop, which I started originally on sort of a few days a week, and I've gone down to just kind of Sundays now with the occasional extra around, because they do all sorts of events. So if there's an event to get stuck in on, I'll get stuck in on, because the community and the vibe around it is good fun. There's people that do it for free, and I'm lucky enough to actually work as part of the team, so I do it more consistently. But that's how kind of passionate people are with this thing, is that they will devote their time freely for this kind of enterprise, which you don't see very often in a lot of other places.
Well, what happened to me was like when I was young, I had a bike for just a few months, and then I had to sell it because I had to go to college. And I basically put like maybe 2,000 kilometers on that bike. It was a CB 254.
Yeah.
And this was like in the 1990, 91. And what happened was that I had it in Chile, where I'm from, and then I had to sell it because I moved to the States to go to university. And then I just never got into bikes, and just circumstances. And finally, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I started getting this bug about motorcycles. And I guess it was like the whole midlife crisis thing, and I'm really enjoying the midlife crisis. Yeah, it's
yeah.
I highly
good for shaking things up.
Yeah. And so anyway, I decided that I was going to get a starter bike. And the thing is, I started with I bought a bike here that is not exported to the UK or the United States. It's called Shinarei. It's a Chinese manufacturer. And it's a dual sport 250cc, 5-speed. I think it's 5-speed. And it cost me $1,550 brand new. Okay. And like in the first week of owning it, I swear to God, this happened, man. The kickstand, the weld on the kickstand came apart. Okay. I mean, oh man, it's a Chinese bike, right? It's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But I bought it specifically for that reason, because I figured, it's okay. It's $1,500, right? If I get scared of it, of the whole riding thing, it's not that much money, it's not the end of the world. I could potentially mess around with it, like mechanically, and if I screw it up again, it's not that much money. And I just fell in love with it, and it's this clunky ass bike. A real POS, right? Yeah. But it was just so much fun. And by the time I had like 300-400 kilometers on it, I was like, okay, I'm getting a real bike. Yeah. And the bike I had my eyes set on was actually not the Ducati Scrambler that I am riding now, but rather what you have, the Moto Guzzi V7.
Yeah. Is that why you stumbled across the channel?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I mean, god damn that bike is beautiful. I mean, I love my Scrambler, but god damn that. Do you have a picture of it to show people?
Yeah, I've got a picture. I'll get it. I'm very fond of it. I'll show it to whoever.
I mean,
it's like pictures of your kids I found with the bike shed. People come in and they show you their photos, and and they'll get them out literally like they're showing you photos of their kids. Yeah, they're that proud of them.
Yeah, exactly. And and you've done little mods to it, and it looks wicked. Yeah, and it's a beautiful, beautiful bike. And
thank you. No, I'm really fond of what I've managed to do with that, but it's a really kind of a curiosity breed, really. Not everyone falls in love with it or likes it, but then not every bike is for everyone. The interesting or the nice thing, I think, is that there is a bike out there for most people, though, and it's what people are drawn to. Sort of makes me curious, really, which is why I'm curious as to what drew you to the Scrambler or the Moto Guzzi. Is the Moto Guzzi hard to get where you are? by the way.
Yeah, there's no dealer, there's no authorized dealer, and there
Sure.
was actually a used one here, a V7 4, excuse me,
Right.
two,
Mhm.
and it was yellow, it was beautiful, and it got snapped up. It had like, maybe like a couple of thousand kilometers on it, and
Yeah.
somebody was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sell it, and it got snapped up before I could get to it. But then this Ducati Scrambler came on the market. It was also used, but it had 1,600 kilometers on it. I mean, excuse me,
Mhm.
yeah, 1,600 kilometers on it,
Yeah.
and I got it on the spot. I was like, hell yeah, because
Awesome.
I knew that because the price break was $5,000.
Yeah.
So it was, of course, it was worth it. What I liked about the Moto Guzzi V7 and the Ducati Scrambler is that they're all rounders.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you taken it off road?
I have not. No.
Oh,
I would be a
are
little
we at
nervous. No,
pace?
I'd want to change the tires. I think if I was going to do that, there's a guy that I follow
Oh,
on Instagram actually who's got a custom V7 who actually he's modded it with some off-road tires, some all-terrain tires, and he's given it like a bash guard and things. And I think it suits it really well. It looks like it should handle well enough. And I don't think they do specifically a scrambler version of it.
Mhm.
But the proportions and the kind of setup of it would lend itself to it to a degree. It's, I mean, the Ducati Scrambler really, I think it's the Desert Sled is the more kind of off-road
Yeah.
version of it. So again,
Yeah.
the Scrambler itself is, you could dip a toe, but you wouldn't really want to take it on anything too taxing. But then that's the same with the Triumph Scrambler, the Moto Guzzi. They're all kind of, they would do the job okay, and they will get you where you need to be, but they're not specifically designed for the job. But then that's what I quite like, and I'm sure you quite like as well, is that they are really versatile, and that's a huge part of why I was drawn to the Moto Guzzi is the versatility of the machine. Which, as you say, you're drawn to the Scrambler for the same. I mean, you're not disappointed by the Scrambler? I take it in any way.
Oh no, no, not at
No, you
all.
like
I
it, yeah?
love it. Oh yeah, because there's something about it. Is, number one, it's very forgiving.
Yeah.
It's 800 cc's, but it doesn't feel like it wants to rip your head off. Right?
Mhm.
It's got 75 horsepower, and it just feels comfy. That's the thing I like about it. That you can put it on like just like a well-worn flannel shirt, and
Yeah.
it'll handle itself. There are some dirt roads I've gone on, no problem.
Mhm.
It's got ABS. Yeah, it does have ABS,
Yeah,
and
yeah. No, it's a modern bike. It's
yeah,
really well designed. So
exceptionally well
it's just
designed. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great do everything bike. And I have to say I've got a soft spot myself for Italian when it comes to it. So between Ducati and Moto Guzzi, I am quite fond of them. There is something there. And I mean, the cliched sort of term is passion, but they just have something else. Whether it is just going to have motoring passion or what, but there's something about them which tugs at your heartstrings more than I would say at your brain.
Well, I was just this afternoon. I was watching this video by this guy from Bicycle World. He's a Brit who's kind of like bald. He does reviews of bikes, and I forget the name of the guy. But anyway, he was doing a 2-month review of the Ducati Monster, and he was saying, well, machines are just machines. Of course, they don't have any soul, but
Mm.
there's something almost as if they have a soul. Because
Yeah.
he was talking about how the Monster, sort of like when you turn it on in the morning, it's sort of like cranky, and cranky, and just like,
Yeah.
get up. It takes a while to warm up, but once it's
Yeah.
warmed up, it's on the ball, right? And yeah, there's something like the Scrambler that I have. Yeah, it has something like that. Like it wakes up and like, oh man, we got to get up.
Yeah.
I don't want to, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's always funny because like I hit the starter on the Scrambler, and it comes on high, the starter, and then
Mhm.
for that split second before it catches, it sort of like winds down, like it's almost like chugging and running out of energy, and then it picks
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's weird, but these little ticks that a machine has
Yeah.
give it a sense of like a character, like a personality to it. Of
Yeah.
course, you're projecting; it's a machine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't help but project that emotionality,
Yeah.
that humanity onto the machine,
Yeah.
and you feel that the bike. I mentioned before that the Scrambler feels very forgiving. that's a characteristic of a person, not of a machine. But that's the thing, more than once or twice riding around the scrambler, I've done things that were a little bit stupid. Excuse me. And the bike was like, okay, I'll let it slide this time.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was talking to me. It's a fucking motorcycle, but that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it felt. I don't know. What's the Moto Guzzi like to ride?
Yeah, a lot the same, really. Uh, Again, you start up in the morning, and there's some mornings actually where it just feels peppier, like it's got a bit more energy to it for whatever reason. And I honestly couldn't tell you why. Like, I don't know whether the heat's just right, or the humidity is perfect for it, or what, or just the engine feels like it wants to go a little bit keener. But you do, some mornings you get on it and it just, like a giddy little puppy, it wants to go off, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, you're feeling good today. And there's other days where you're like, okay, I want to have a fast ride, and the bike just, and it's not even like it's noticeable that badly. If someone else jumped on it and they didn't own this bike and they hadn't lived with it for a few months, they wouldn't recognize it, I'm sure, and they wouldn't even notice. But when you ride it that often, and you know every inch of it, you know when it's running at its best, or when it's just a little bit sluggish when it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the motor. You start it up, and it's one of the only, I've had a few bikes where they've had like a choke and they want to get, warmed up before you set off down the road and things. And it's always a good idea to give it a few seconds before you actually just pull off. But this one in particular, yeah, I have to give it just a minute to itself, just to warm up, to stretch when it gets out of bed in the morning.
But
before I take it down the road.
What you're saying is so right, because like this feeling is, I've had it for a while now, and I can sense when it's on the ball, right? Yeah. I live in an apartment building, and the parking is the -2 floor, right? It's 2 down. And so like you come out, and there's like a ramp that gets to the -1 parking floor, right? And then it goes up to ground level. But the thing is, see, between the -2 and the -1, it's sort of like straight, and then it just cuts off, right? And some mornings, the bike is like, okay, I'll go, and it just climbs over and like rides over. But other mornings, it's like, fuck it, let's jump this fucker, and he goes and pops pops that little jump, and I fly through the air for a couple of meters, and I feel that I'm giving it the same throttle and everything, but just some mornings it just feels like it, and sometimes it just doesn't. It's weird. But let me ask you, like. You've been riding. How long have you been riding now?
So I've been riding, I think it's 5 years now. I've had bikes in the family since before I was born. My dad loves bikes, but I've had my license for 5 years.
Let me ask you, what bike would you think is like the best as a starter bike?
Decent question, and it kind of depends on what you're using it for. I think the thing with bikes that you don't necessarily get with cars, and what people kind of sometimes overlook, because when I post reviews of these things, generally speaking, you get sort of two kind of camps. If you kind of criticize it and someone's already bought it, they tend to be very upset that you've insulted their pride and joy. Or you get the people who don't like it. Well, no, exactly. Like you've just spat in the face of their young child. And I haven't done that. I've just said that, maybe the electronics aren't as good on your bike as you would want them to be. And maybe take my opinion on that because I ride a few bikes. But the other side of the coin is that people sometimes, just to kind of press on the bruise, they'll look at bikes that they don't like and see whether you like it. And again, they'll comment and say that they hate it. But they don't necessarily see the kind of application for the bike. So bikes in particular, as I say, as opposed to something like a car, it really depends where you're going to ride it, because every bike has its specific purpose or the thing it was designed for.
Right.
And it's only a kind of a soft shade of a difference between them, really. But you've got adventure bikes, you've got cafe races, you've got sports bikes, you've got bikes for specific purposes. So it depends what you would want to be going to do with your bike. But a really good starting point generally is to go for what you would call a middleweight naked bike, as in non-fed motorcycle. Because generally speaking, they've got kind of upright bars. They're a fairly neutral riding position, fairly neutral kind of engine response from them. And from that, you can then find out which aspects you prefer and exploit those or push those further. But I mean, having said that, you might already know which kind of bike you want to go towards, and it might just be the perfect fit. And I'm thinking more kind of along the lines of, say, a cruiser. Some people just really want to get themselves a Harley, and fair enough, that's a decent choice for a lot of people. And that's actually the way I wanted to go when I got my first bike, which I will get a picture up of, which was an SV650, which is a really good starter bike. And I would say close to one of the kind of perfect bikes to start on, because again, as I say, these bikes are fairly neutral. And from that kind of base, you can decide which aspects you want to kind of push and exploit a bit further. If that explains it, not to kind of specifically choose a bike. But again, like I say, the SV650 is a decent choice, I would say. Something like that. It's from Suzuki, which I'll just get up now if you've never seen it. So it's this little thing. This was a 2004. This was the first bike that I started on. And I'm not saying that my bike, that just because it was perfect for me would be perfect for other people.
Yeah.
But it's a comfortable kind of size. And as we sort of spoke about previously as well, the performance isn't too terrifying, because I think a really important point is that a lot of people, and I know you're aware of this, they want to go for something as fast as they possibly can, and maybe they've got something in their mind that they want to start on, something like a Fireblade or some big 1000cc sports bike. And as appealing and as eye-catching as those bikes are, you might just spook yourself going to it, or worse still, hurt yourself riding it.
Yeah.
It's nice to go for something. My dad always sort of terms it as a bike that you can feel bigger than. And you might not the first time you sit on it, but eventually after you've owned it for a month or so, you will potentially feel bigger than, more capable than, and that you're kind of guiding the bike, not that you're along for the ride, sort of, gripping on for dear life on something which is astronomically fast.
Yeah, I've always found that that's so absurd, of going on a bike that is really beyond your capabilities. Like a beginning rider, and you hop on a 200 horsepower, 1000cc monster that is going to gobble you alive. I mean, it's going to kill you.
Yeah. Potentially.
Wants to kill you.
Yeah, so it does. Yeah, if you get on them and when you feel it, if you pull off down the road, when you open it up, I mean, some of them are genuinely terrifying. I mean, we all kind of, I think the risk is that with the kind of masculine trait is that you want this kind of bravado, right? There's an ego to guys sometimes that you don't want to admit that you're scared or something is beyond your control or that it's too powerful for you. So just my advice would be, don't let your ego dictate it. Don't let it say, to go to this bike. Because the other thing is that you won't actually have as enjoyable as a time on a bike like that, trust me, as if you went for something which was a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, let me show you the bike that I restarted, which is, hang on just a moment, it's coming up here. This is the Shinare that I got. The only difference between the picture and the one I actually have is that mine's red, okay? And yeah, it looks really big, but it's all just fluff, right? It's a 250cc engine. It puts out barely, actually it doesn't even make 20 horsepower. I think it's 19, okay?
I like that. I like the fact that you can almost picture the amount of horses that it takes to get that thing moving.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
As opposed to, I don't know what you would call, what's a stable of horses, 200 horses? That's, you can't put that quantifiably, whereas my dad's got this old Suzuki, which is around the same sort of thing. It's like 14 horsepower. And I love the fact that you can picture 14 horses. I can see that in my head.
Yeah,
in my mind's eye.
14 Clydesdales, pulling some thing through the snow. Yeah. It's a human scale, okay? Now, this bike, it was perfect for me to get reacquainted with motorcycle riding, okay? Because it was just easy, forgiving. The tires let me do whatever I wanted, and so I could experiment, right? Because I did take it off road. It performed. I mean, it didn't leave me stuck anywhere, barely. Yeah. Okay, but it was. I mean, within a couple of days, I felt much bigger than the bike. In that, yeah, and that was a good feeling.
But did that feel? Yeah, I was going to say, did it feel enjoyable? Was that a good feeling for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes, I could almost feel that as I was getting into it, that my skills were surpassing the ability of the bike. And that was a good thing,
Yeah.
It was like I was ahead of the bike. And I think that that's
Yeah.
the key issue with a starter bike, that you want something that you're fully in control of it. And
Yeah.
you fuck it up, you make mistakes, yeah, but they're your mistake. It's not that
Yeah.
you have like this twitchy throttle that is going to all of a sudden put you at 100 miles an hour in 3 seconds flat, and you're
Yeah.
terrified. No, I think that that's great.
Because the thing is, when you get on a bike, it's riding a bike is shocking for the senses. Just
Hmm.
any part of it
Hmm.
is shocking for the senses, and it's a huge amount for you to take on.
Yes, yes,
And the sort of, the more you ride, the greater your experience, the more you've been in situations similar, you tend to learn, and you rely on it, and it's almost becomes second nature, where you don't really have to concentrate on it all that much. But when you start off, everything is concentration. Changing gears, the first time you sit on a bike, even being told how to change gears and get the thing moving takes a huge amount of concentration
yeah,
and takes a lot of brain power. And then you learn how to change gears. And then the next sort of hurdle is, how do I get this thing to turn? How do I get it to, to go around a corner? How do I get it to stop? What do the brakes sort of do? What does it feel like when it's braking under pressure? How do I keep this thing stable going around a corner as well? And that takes a huge amount of finesse and a huge amount of time to learn when you're
yeah,
going around corners. And even now, I'm only 5 years into it, but I still constantly find corners where I think, I could have done that better, or I wasn't as good as I could be on the bike. And I know that's the case for even my dad, who's been riding for some kind of 30 years or so, probably more than that. Even he finds himself in situations that he's never been in before, and it's only because he's got other experiences that he can concentrate on what he needs to concentrate on, because everything else is second nature, and he doesn't even have to think about it for a second. It's instinctual. He knows how to make the bike do what he wants it to do. So he gets to sort of concentrate on the potential panic situation of something jumping out, or the road conditions not being perfect. He can concentrate on that because his mind is freed up for it, because he has the capacity, the space then
yeah.
to concentrate on something other than the basics of changing gear, going around a corner and leaning it, which is what is, I think, enjoyable. It's like you say, we were talking before this, to get sort of not too far from point. It is about mileage, and it's about the experience that you have on the bike. And I think going for something that's not going to completely bombard your senses like a massive sports bike is a good thing. It has to be a good thing if you're starting off.
Yeah, because okay, let me give you a specific example with this bike. Okay, between where I live, my apartment, and my studio, right? It's about about a kilometer away. And to get to my studio, I have to take this little road at one point, and it has this little curve, this left-handed curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the curve is fairly sharp. And it's not at an intersection. It's just a straight on 90-degree curve. And one time early on, when I had this bike, the Shinneray that's on the screen right now, I hit that curve a little bit too fast,
Mm-hmm.
and I could feel the front tire slipping. On a bigger bike, I would have been wiped out, because I would have been going too fast. Because the bike, a bigger bike, a better bike, quote unquote, with more horsepower, would have been going faster. It would have been taking me faster. And I hit that and start slipping out, and that would have been that, But this bike, because it's a slow poke, because, I can't really get it faster than 95 kilometers an hour, full blast, right? It was going to let that one slide. I mean, in the sense of like not wiping out, right?
Yeah.
And that little experience, that was like, holy shit, and automatically my body was like, oh, I did this, and that, and the other that was wrong.
Yeah.
And I never did that again.
Yeah.
But with a more powerful bike, I would have wiped out. Maybe it wouldn't have been that, painful, but let's assume that it would have been fine, but I would have been scared after that. And I probably wouldn't have gotten on the bike again. You know what I mean?
And you don't want to do that for yourself. You don't want to scare yourself when you first get into it, because I think you could potentially put yourself off. Anyone who's kind of who goes up and mistakenly goes for a bike that's too big for them, I think, and scares themselves, then, like you say, they're probably or potentially not going to want to get on another bike, or it will put them off to a degree where they'll make excuses for not taking it out. Anyone who has kind of more of an ego might not be scared by that thing, or might not register the kind of risk that was accrued or that could potentially have happened with that thing.
Yeah.
And either circumstance is just not what you want, and it's avoidable if you go for something a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people sort of go for these massive bikes. I don't know if you know
A
that many
lot.
people that go for big
A
ones.
lot. A
Yeah,
lot. Yeah. Well, what happens is, especially in the States, you have to do you have to do like a 2-day course, and you get
right.
the license, right? And you're puttering around on 250s in a closed environment.
Yeah,
And you have to go through traffic cones and stuff like that, and it's relatively easy, okay.
yeah.
And what happens in the States, it's not like in Europe or the UK, where you have I think it's the A2 license, and then you bump up, right?
Yeah, so there's a little distinction. Where under 25, you can't go for anything bigger than an A2 license, which essentially I think it's 47 horsepower, but it limits how much you can ride. And if you're above 25 though, you can go straight through and get something that's huge. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, in the States, you're 16 with a driver's permit, and you pass the course,
yeah.
and you can hop onto, like some monster crotch rocket, right? And so
So
people
yeah,
do, and on the Craigslist and the used bike market, you got
yeah,
hundreds of bikes that have like 200, 300 kilometers on them, because it
yeah,
scared the owner. Because the guy was like, he bought some monster bike that was way beyond his capabilities. He took it for
yeah,
a spin a couple of times, scared himself silly, and then decided,
yeah,
life is too short, which it is, and
yeah, yeah.
gave up the ghost, and gave up the sport. What I
That's a
find
shame.
really interesting is, excuse me, that how can I put this? Guys seem very unwilling to say that they're scared, or that something is beyond their ability.
Yeah,
I think I think it's inherent to men's nature that we're like, oh yeah, I can handle this, even when
yeah,
it's a little bit beyond their ability.
yeah.
Because a lot of times you sort of like, by doing, you grow and learn, and you grow into it. But I think motorcycling is one of the few things that, no, you really have to take your time with. You
Mhm.
tell me if you agree, or what's going on. What do you think of the psychology of it, of guys going into bikes that they have no business riding?
No, I think exactly the same thing. I mean, there's, I'm sure there's more than a few reasons. The main one, I think you're right, is probably just again when it comes down to kind of ego, and it is primarily guys. Just it's their pride won't let them kind of, especially if you've got friends who've got a bigger bike as well. Your pride won't let you go out with that group necessarily. If you've got the smaller bike, if someone else is out on a big 1000cc
Yeah,
sports bike, and even worse if you're the same age, at least if you're younger, you kind of got that excuse, or you wouldn't feel as embarrassed.
yeah,
But I think, yeah, if you want to kind of keep up with the crowd or you want to show off, then yeah, you're going to go for the biggest thing you can, really. And yeah, you'd like to think that you're going to be safe with it, but as you say, if there's that many, it is different here, I'm sure, because you don't see that much of people buying big bikes and then selling them on over here. And I think that's probably because the licensing is tiered.
yeah,
Although again, it's not perfect, but at least you kind of you have to pass this test and you have to be over 25 years of age. So hopefully you've tried something that's a little bit smaller to get you into it.
yeah.
Yeah, a part of it will, I'm sure, be ego, and maybe some of it might be that they kind of want to get it right the first time. Maybe if you think, well, I want to get up to that big bike, why wait? I'll go for the big bike. Biking isn't like that, because I mean, not everyone's like me, but I change bikes every kind of 12 months maximum. I change, I get bored, so I change bikes quite regularly. So no one bike is perfect for every situation or every person. And I know that. I'm happy to just keep trying new things. That's why I started the channel in the first place, is I wanted to try as many bikes as I could, because I just wanted to see what everyone else's bike was like. I wanted to kind of be able to compare it, so that when I'm out with other people, I'm like, oh, I know how that feels. I know what your bike is like to ride, and I like mine for these reasons. So I quite like that aspect of it. Maybe some people want to kind of just get one bike, and that's the perfect bike.
Yeah, I think that you can't get the one bike that's perfect for you. You have to go through a series of bikes.
For sure.
y- like, okay, like in my own case, I got the Shinneray, and now I got the Scrambler. And the
Mhm.
Shinneray, I've got it sitting there in the garage. I haven't ridden it in a while. And in point of fact, this morning, as a matter of fact, I tried to turn it over, and I think that the battery died on me. But yeah, and I wanted to start it and go around a few times this morning, strictly for that, to like keep it up, I'll probably get rid of it. But the fact of the matter is, I'm so grateful to the bike, because that bike was like the perfect stepping stone.
Yeah.
And if you can get a cheap, small bike and get that mileage, because with the Shinra, what happened was that I only put like 400 kilometers on it before I went and bought the Ducati, right? But what had
Yeah.
happened was that I put the way I put the 400 kilometers was kind of there was a point to it. See, the first 100 kilometers, it was just puttering around, right? But then I we all wound up going with the wife and the kids. We went out to the country, because we got a place out in the country, I don't know, about 50 kilometers away. And I decided I'd like ride the bike out there, because I wanted to be able to go off-road out in the country, right?
Yeah.
And try it out there. And, the road is, it's Ukraine, okay, man. It's not the best road in the world, okay? But because of that, it was like, it wasn't smooth sailing. I had to be paying attention. I couldn't be like, dawdling. I mean, I couldn't be like thinking of other things. I had to be focused, right? And because of it, that basically about I must have been like 75 kilometers out and another 75 coming back. It really it taught me a lot. That ride, it taught me a great deal, and it gave me that mileage. And after that, I could feel it. That when I came back from that weekend, I was just a lot more confident. And it just so happened that a few days later, the Scrambler came up for sale, and I just snapped it up. And when I got on the Scrambler, it was like, I can handle this, okay?
Yeah.
Which I could not have said before that period, that with the starter bike. And so I think that you just have to be humble about it. Have a little ability and say, look, I'm starting out. I have a bike on screen that I wanted to show you, because you'd get a kick out of it. This is a Ducati 999.
Yes, yeah. I'm familiar.
We are we?
Yeah, well, I haven't ridden one. I really want one, but I have not ridden one now.
No, neither have I. I haven't ridden this one's here. Okay, it was modified here by an outfit here in Kharkov. They put like, goddamn, they put like carbon fiber on everything. Here, let me show you another picture, real quick. Hang on. Oops, wrong direction. There, carbon fiber on the front. On the sides. I take it you're seeing this, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So they've made it, but essentially they've made a light bike even lighter.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah,
so the power to weight ratio of that thing is insane.
Yeah, exactly. Although they did put a pillion on it, because the 999 doesn't have a pillion, does it?
It's got a cowl. I think actually, well, I believe you can take it off. It's not where I'd want to sit as a passenger, but I think it came on.
Yeah, it seems scary if you're a passenger, yeah. And so this bike is up for sale here, and I want to get it, but I recognize that right now it's beyond my ability.
Yeah.
If I were to get it, it'd sort of like sit in the garage for a while, because I would not feel that confident riding it.
So it's aspirational. Yeah. I mean, I get to sort of relate to back to kind of family things, personal experience. I think maybe because my dad is quite realistic about it, and I think that's also a really key point, is that I had older people who'd ridden to tell me what I should be riding and what I should be buying. And if I was left to my own devices, potentially the kind of excitement might have overtaken me, and I might have bought something a bit too big. But I do remember speaking to my dad about bikes that had sort of scared him in the past, or that he got on and went, nope. And you get off it and go, yeah, I'm good on that. I'm not going to go on that again. The one for him was actually, it was a Suzuki GSXR 750. And the reason I think he attributed it to being a scary bike, and not for everyone, and I'm sure he can ride it well, but he knows his limitations, and he knows that he would do himself harm on it. And it genuinely, in the past, it's been actually called a widowmaker for good reason. But because it kind of sits on that perfect line of power to weight ratio, where you get they have a 600 and they have a 1000 and they have a 750, and The 750 is the same weight as the 600, but a bigger engine. The 1000 is a much heavier bike. So you get a big difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
So the 750 is the one that is just bonkers fast, as I'm sure the 999 obviously that you're showing is now.
Yeah.
And it's a power to weight ratio. It's the performance. Not all bikes handle the same. It's some of them are just crazy fast. But like I say, he's been riding for about 30 years, and he sat on a bike. You know, there are bikes out there that are too big for him. There are bikes out there that even like the TT races, like proper bike motorcycle races out there. They get on a bike for the first time after a hiatus of not being around, something like the Isle of Man TT, and that first ride round kind of sets their hair on fire as well. Like, they recognize that something's a bit too fast and that they have to kind of ease themselves into this thing. So it doesn't matter how big you are, what sort of biking stage you're at, there is always going to be a bike that's too big for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's about taking your time. And as I say, I like the fact that I had people to kind of rein me in and let me know what bikes might suit me better for a first bike that wouldn't scare me and would just kind of tease it. Really, you want to sort of feel a little bit cheeky on it. You want to feel like you're having a kind of a cheeky thrill, that it's exhilarating without being scary. Basically, I would say.
Yeah, that very fine line between exhilaration and fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a reason we're talking about riding motorcycles, because it's fun. It's really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
like, look, whenever I get off a bike, I have a smile. I'm happy. You know, I stare at the bike, and it gives me pleasure, a great deal of joy, just the experience of riding. You know, just sometimes just puttering around, going here, there, because I have to run an errand or whatever. It gives you a really just fantastic feeling, and it is exhilaration. Exhilaration is what? It's adrenaline. It's that sense that you have to be focused,
Yeah.
and paying attention to what you're doing, and the result is going to be a rush of adrenaline, which
Yes.
I guess you're thinking, well, a rush of adrenaline is basically signifies fear, but it's before fear. Okay,
It's your body's call to action, right? It's you recognize that you better focus up, and I think that's another thing that I quite like of it is the head clearing aspect of it, which is something I've always told my brother, or spoken about with my brother as well, is that I know on the bike that I can't think about anything else. And I've got a few friends who've told me that they've kind of dealt with depression through getting a bike, or at least it's helped them with it, because it is clearing. It helps clear your mind, because when you're on it and you're, you know, on a testing road or a testing route, you can only have one point of focus. So all the other bullshit that goes on in your life, in your head, disappears, because you have this kind of singular focus that I need to ready myself up, because if I'm not paying attention, I might come off this thing and hurt myself. But that aspect of it can be quite cathartic, and it's and therapeutic as well, I think.
I agree, because like when I'm writing, it's like every problem I have, any concern I might have, any decision or indecision that might be ping ponging around in my head, it's all forgotten, because I have to be paying total attention. It's like what you were talking about before. You've got your four limbs that are acting simultaneously. You got your right foot on the rear brake, but you got to know when to hit on the rear brake, not just any old time. Your right hand on the throttle and the brake, the front brake. Your left hand on the clutch and your left foot on the gears. You got to be paying attention to when you shift, upshift, downshift. It's all this coordination, and at the same time, your head is just moving from side to side, looking at all the traffic. You're paying attention to your mirrors. You're paying attention to your line of sight all around you. 180 degrees ahead of you. You're praying to God that some car doesn't sneak up on your blind spot, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like total focus. You have to be totally concentrated, and that is, if you think about it, it's like meditation.
Yeah,
Because,
that's the word I was grasping for before. Yeah.
yeah, because the whole point of meditation, if you think about it, is to focus the mind on something that is not inherently complex or difficult, but completely focus on that one thing, and for everything else to just fall away from your consciousness. And you find peace. Your mind finds peace, finds rest, right? And that's the thing that happens to me when I'm writing. But here's the thing, that I've never been able to meditate like you're told to, like sit there with my legs crossed in the lotus position, you know, with my hands, you know, up and saying for 5 hours. I can't do it. I get bored. right? I once
Yeah.
tried Tai Chi. I was ready to commit suicide by the end of the first lesson. I hated it, you know. But riding a motorcycle is active. The environment forces you to do it, and
Yeah.
it's so liberating. It's so freeing, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm regretting I didn't pick it back up again earlier. Because see, I remember all of this feeling when I was 20, but
Yeah.
it's only as I've gotten older that it's become more valuable,
Mhm.
because you have more worries, you have more preoccupations and concerns and more responsibilities. And so, now as an older guy, before we started, or maybe during the stream, I said that, I'm having my midlife crisis and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because, doing this is just so freeing
Yeah.
mentally, you know?
Like I say, a midlife crisis is great for shaking things up, I think, because it just changes it. It gets you to value it, doesn't it? And sort of change your routines. Any sort of patterns that you've got that are kind of boring, you question them, which is not a bad thing. I won't hear you complaining about it.
Well, what happens is that, a midlife crisis, you know what it really is? It's the realization that what you were going to be, you're already there. Okay. And so the
Yeah.
crisis really happens with people who are truly dissatisfied with who they are. Okay. I fundamentally am happy with who I am, and who I am and what I've accomplished and where I'm at in my life. Uh, would I want to have more money? Not really. I'm good on the money side. Would I
Yeah.
want to have more this, that, the other? No. Um, More than anything, I like to have more time, and that's a good thing, because there are still a lot of things that I want to be able to do.
Yeah.
But see, a lot of guys who have like a midlife crisis and who try to recapture their 20s, right, and they're 50 or older, it's because they took the wrong path in their lives, and they wound up
Yeah.
like on a ditch, and it could be that
Yeah. No, I know what you
a
mean.
remunerated ditch,
I don't
and
know whether those kinds of people, if they're in that situation, though, do they? I don't know whether they actually term it a sort of midlife crisis or address it. I think if you're going to do it, it's probably because you're actually quite enjoying it, and it's it's not the same level of midlife crisis.
I don't
I think.
know. I don't know, but I don't.
But before I just digress too far, sorry,
No, no,
I
no,
got
no,
you on a completely
no.
different tangent.
This
I'm
is
looking for life advice from you, basically.
dude. This is a comfy stream. This is supposed to be relaxing, right? Um, like I'll tell you, I know a lot of guys who are like attorneys, business people. They make a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. I mean, millions
Mhm.
a year, and they're very unhappy. And they look at the life that I'm living, and they look at me. At first, I didn't understand the looks I was getting.
Mm.
Because I'd be talking about whatever I was doing at the time, and they'd be like staring at me, and then I realized it's envy. Okay,
Yeah.
because they make a lot of money, but they're sort of like prisoners, and they can't do anything else. Uh,
Mhm.
this is it, and they can't walk away from this life because their expenses are so high that they can't just shut off the money spigot.
Yeah.
Can't just walk away, and so they might be very rich, but rich is relative. Okay, um,
Mm.
see, my great grandfather was an extremely wealthy man, and I mean, like he was extremely wealthy, and he had a notion, a thought, which I think was very profound, because it's been something that's passed down. That, see, a truly rich man, he said, is a man who can live without income for 5 years and not
Mm.
change his life. Okay, now this is actually profound, because see, there are some guys who are earning millions of dollars a year, but they need that money. They need it like heroin. And if
Yeah.
it's cut off, they're dead in the water. They can't survive even 1 month without this enormous salary, right? Or this enormous income.
Mhm.
Whereas there are other guys, like think of a homeless guy. He's got no income, right? His life is not going to change, right? For the next 5 years. He's rich. If you see what I'm saying? I-
Yeah.
the-
Yeah. No. Yeah.
yeah.
I follow what you're saying with it.
Yeah. And so, like, I've thought about that a lot, especially as I've gotten older. And what's happened to me was, um, I grew up with the notion that you always want more money so you can get more stuff.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I'm like, well, what do I need? I got everything I need. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And also, what happens is a lot of times you start to think to yourself, man, I wish I had less stuff, because it's just cluttering up my life. It's
Mm.
cluttering up my headspace. Um, Like when I was living in Chile, we moved from Chile in 2016. We moved. Actually, we were living in England, and now here in Ukraine. And you know, we've got like a big like one of these shipping containers full of crap. You know,
Mhm.
furniture and books and this and that and the other. And you know, every once in a while I think about it. I'm like, holy shit, all that crap. And sometimes I wish that it would just burn up. You know, I wouldn't even collect the insurance. You know, if it just sort of like just poof, oh, it burned up, I'd be like, oh fuck, what a shame. You know, and come on, let's get a beer. That's my reaction be. You know, because
Yeah.
all that stuff clutters up your life. The movie Fight Club, right? It has a shitty second half, but the first really on point. The shit you own winds up owning you. That's
Yeah.
very, very true. And a lot of guys live their whole lives collecting stuff, and then they come to the end of their lives, or they come to the point where they figure that they can't really change their lives anymore.
Mhm.
They're extremely unhappy because they've got all this stuff that is just the prison bars of their jail cell. You see
Yeah.
what
I do see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, so there was a guy that came into the bike shed once that you see it occasionally all over the place, but and he was, I don't want to make a judgment of him. He was probably perfectly happy in his life, but he had all these bikes that he showed me again, like his kids, gets his phone out,
yeah.
swipes through, and he's got no end of Ducatis, like rare Ducatis as well. He's got like a Superleggera and stuff, and they're all sort of lined up, and he's got them color coded as well in his garage,
Okay.
where he's got them going from like red with a little bit of white all the way through to just pure red.
Uh-huh.
He's got his pool room where he's got two of them facing. He's got one behind a glass wall and things. And I'm like, just and courteously you're sort of nodding along, going, "Oh, yeah, lovely. Oh, that's a rare one. That's a nice bike." But can't help but think, when was the last time you rode it? When did you get that thing out?
Yeah.
When was the last time you used that thing? I mean, and maybe that's his enjoyment. Some people get it from different ways, and maybe he just likes to look at them. But I couldn't help but I wasn't jealous in the sense of owning these bikes and owning. Well, I was. Who am I going to kid? But I was more jealous of the fact that, or sort of disappointed at the fact that these things weren't getting used,
Yeah.
because I know that, if I was, I'd be like a kid in a candy store. I would be out every single weekend on all of those bikes. And he was, thumbing through them and saying, yeah, I probably haven't ridden that one in a while, sort of thing. And you can see the ones that are behind like a glass wall and things. And you're like, you definitely haven't ridden that. And as I say, if you're not going to use it, it's along the same sort of point. If you're not going to use it, it is a bit of a shame. And
Complete shame.
what's the real value in it? I mean, how often is he really going to look at those sorts of things?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something functional. I like the BMW you've got up there. It's nice to have something that you ride, something that you actually take out. And some of the bikes I actually like the most. And I posted a video recently of a friend of mine had an old Honda CB550,
Mm-hmm.
and this thing was, you call it a brat project. Again, like the illustrator with his BMW. Not a lot of money went into it. It wasn't a particularly expensive build. It was all just through blood, sweat, and tears. It didn't look fancy, but it looked functional. It was, as I say, the style is brat, but it's like a custom cafe racer style bike. But brat style is kind of rough edges. It's got a load of dirt on it. It's got wrap around the pipes and stuff like that, heat shield and things. It's just something that you get on and ride. And it doesn't really matter, because unlike with cars, and again, we mentioned sort of the connection that you have with it, the personal connection with it, and the fact that you do personify these machines at the end of the day, because it's your companion, it's the thing you take places. And again, it sounds cliche to say, but it is about the journey. It's not about the destination. And if the bike is your companion for that, how can you not have a connection to it or feel in some way like it's your buddy, like it's a human being?
Yeah. Like we're talking about the illustrator who's not here right now. I DM'd him, but he's at work right now, so he can't join us, unfortunately. I envy the illustrator a lot, right? Because he's doing this bike of his, right? And in 30 years, he's going to remember just about every step of the way of this project.
Yeah.
That bike, when it's finally done, it's going to be his in a way that if he just gone into a motorcycle dealership and plopped down, 10 grand, it would not,
Yeah.
you know, because he knows that bike intimately. he's taken it apart God knows how many times already, right?
He's seen things on it that you shouldn't see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, the situation that he has, whereby he has to, I forget if I mentioned this to you before we started the stream or after, so I'll just mention it again. He has to take apart the bike. He's building it in the backyard of his parents' place in Brooklyn, and apparently his parents have a very small backyard. And that backyard does not have an exit. So he has to take the bike through the house to get it to the street. But of course, the bike is too big to get through the doorway. So he has to take it apart into 3 discrete sections to get outside, right? And he's done this multiple times already, right? I just he had to do it when he got the bike, okay?
Yeah. You don't need a gym membership at that point. It's quite a heavy thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, that lugging around of that bike, of course, he's probably bitching and moaning about it now. In 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, when he's an old man, he's going to remember those days like they're yesterday, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And that is so valuable. And to tell you the truth, one of the things I really regret is that I didn't build myself a bike when I was young. I should have. I could have. I had the time. I had the money. I had the knowledge to do it. I mean, everything. I just didn't, and I feel so stupid now.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, sorry. Yeah, you're stupid. I apologize for that. That was a little bit too emphatic. But yeah, I understand what you're saying with that completely. And it's nice to feel that connection to it. It's nice to feel that it's that personal. That there's scuff marks, through your doorways and things. That you're like, I know where that came from. That's because I scuffed the engine when I was dragging it through the house.
Right.
These are nice moments. And again, people do. You can there's lots of different sort of routes to get to the same sort of destination.
Yeah.
But some people have the money to pay a builder to make their bike. And by all means do that. And it's quite a nice thing. You can have your project that's yours. But there is a different, deeper connection to having made it yourself that, as you say, one of the most important things in life is time. That's the most important commodity, is that you don't get more time. So you can earn lots and lots of money. You can spend on some £50,000 or dollar custom job that some garage is going to make for you, and you're going to go to work every day and earn the money you need to pay for that custom build, and then come home and actually see the bike when it's completed. Or you can work your kind of regular job and fit in the time as and when you can. You can try and scrimp and scrape and find the money that you need to make the bike, that custom bike that you've made yourself, that you've put the effort into. And after the fact, you look at it, there is something, I don't know, more important to me, I think, about having that bike at the end. That's time that you can value, that you're not just sort of skipping through. You're not pressing fast forward in your life and finding a bike at the end of it. You've put everything into it. I think that's what I'm in love with about the scene and the custom scene more than anything else.
Yeah, that's the thing, because in my case now, I have a bunch of responsibilities, and so I don't have the time to do it myself. And by the way, the reason I'm putting up this bike was made by a guy called Connor, and he had never done a full bike on his own and never done a BMW. He did this bike all by himself, literally all by himself, and he steam blasted everything, did everything. The only thing he didn't do was do the paint job on the gas tank and the seat. Because he actually bought a sewing machine and tried to do it himself, but it made a hash of it and got some to do it. Okay, yeah, that's the only thing. Everything else he did himself, and there's some parts of it that are just unbelievable. Right? I'll try to show a different shot, because it's just phenomenal what the guy did. But anyway, the thing is, see, I've thought a lot. I've been thinking about it as of late of doing a custom project myself. But see, my son is 4 years old, and I like to do it with my kid, to tell you the truth. But he's too little. Now he's not going to. And sure as shit, he's never going to ride it at this age, right? No way.
I guess some stabilizers on it, it'd be fine.
Yeah, just get him like extensions. He'll make it. Okay, but anyway, No, seriously. So
No, I know what you mean.
yeah, I'd really like to do it with my kid because, to tell you the truth, at this stage, doing it on my own is just it'll take time away from other things that I want to be doing, and
Yeah,
time from spending it with people I want to, including my kid. Uh,
yeah.
but okay, I started as a writer. That's my profession. After college, I went to Hollywood to make it as a writer, and I did all right. And then I wrote novels for a while, and I did all
Mm,
right in that. And and as a novelist, as a professional writer, as a writer who earned money. I mean, I never called myself a writer unless I was earning a living as a writer, and I did that, right?
yeah.
You Professional writers recognize what's hard to do because, like, people who don't know how to write, readers basically,
Mm,
they think that a lot of flashy stuff is hard, but it's not. It's easy. Other
mhm,
stuff is much more difficult. Like, and
yeah.
for instance, in my second novel, I introduced, like, it was 8 characters, and they were all the major characters in the entire book. I introduced them all in the first chapter, which is definitely a no-no, right? Because it's just too many people, too much information, right?
Yeah.
But I did that, and it worked. It was really, really hard to do. Okay, and that's one of my crowning achievements as a writer. And it's not the check I got for the book, which was a pretty hefty one, so I was, like, happy about that. But it was the fact that I pulled off something that is technically unbelievably difficult to do,
Yeah.
and that a person who doesn't know doesn't notice.
Mhm,
They're like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure, whatever," because it's
yeah.
like a
They
huge.
get the surface level of it, right? They think it's good from the outside, but yeah,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
don't really get the effort that went into making it.
Right, and so that it gives me at least a sense of quiet satisfaction. And I look at Connor's bike here, right? He
Mm,
hit all kinds of stuff. I mean, just glancing at it, that there's, like, a lot of wiring and stuff that is like, where is it? Where'd it go? And let
yeah.
me just show you real quick. There's a shot of the handlebars that I want to show you
Mhm.
and our audience. Hang on just one moment here.
It's not they're nice, these bikes. There's a few of them sort of coming, and you're like, it looks incomplete because you're like, where's the wiring? Where are the taillights? She's missing a few things there, and they've managed to actually hide it in places. I love that because it's weird. Yeah, yeah. Look at the bars on that thing.
Yeah, look
There's
at
a
that.
few companies that do a similar thing, and it's so clean, and I really shouldn't get as excited as I do about it, but
Yeah,
I do.
look at that.
But I love the fact that you can hide something that cleanly, and it's not got all this kind of faff or distraction for the eye. And it's like you were sort of critiquing little things on my brother's build and things. And it's true that the sort of the clean aspect of it is really, really nice because it also lets other features sort of stand out as well.
Yeah,
When you can have things that clean, you can have an accent feature, and the accent stands out a little bit better than what if it's sort of distracted by cables and things.
yeah, because look at this.
Yeah, it's
It's
nice.
like, I mean, anybody who knows motorcycles knows that. Well, first of all, on the right lever, the which is the front brake lever, where's the
Mm.
reservoir, right?
Yeah, don't know.
The reservoir.
Doesn't need to stop. It's fine.
Yeah, and look, only 2 buttons per side. How do you turn it off? How do you turn it on?
Yeah,
Which one's the right indicator, left indicator, headlights?
yeah. We
What?
call that the switchgear lottery, which is always fun to play because if you lend someone your bike, they don't know what button does what.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this guy, he did this so cleanly and so perfectly
Yeah,
symmetrical. It's a work of art, just the
yeah,
handlebars, right? And
yeah, yeah,
it's just like you don't know about bikes, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a motorcycle handlebar, right? But you know a little bit, and you're like, holy shit, what did this guy do? That is what I'm talking about. That is just,
yeah.
oh
No, it's astounding. And the thing that really kills me is I mean, maybe if I really dedicated myself, I could get to a degree where I could make something like that. But I actually don't think I have it in me to make something that good. But I can appreciate someone that can. But yeah, maybe I was a little harsh before when I was saying about to say or to sort of downplay the fact that someone could get someone to build their bike. And obviously, a lot of custom builds, you get people to do different jobs in it that you can't necessarily do yourself. So there's different sort of kind of shades with that. And there's no reason why either one is wrong. It's just that I'm really envious of someone who can say that that was completely them, who can look at the project at the end and go, yep, that was all me. I did everything on that. And I understand as well when you were saying about obviously you've got a kid and that takes priority for sure. But the nice thing I think for the future is, yeah, if you ever get a chance and to work on it with your child, it will be an
Yeah.
incredible kind of experience. It'd be such a nice kind of bonding thing.
Yeah.
If you get to a degree where you can build this thing. I really love when you sort of hear these stories of when someone's talking about their dad and that he was always in the garage with them, not like, left them and
Yeah.
went and had his own separate life, that he included them in it. And, they've been working on engines since they were sort of knee high to a grasshopper because their dad included in that. It's a really nice thing. I think it's overlooked, as well, as far as a sort of parental experience.
Well, I think to tell you the truth, I'm big on evolutionary psychology, and if you think about it, human beings before our modern culture or civilization, call it what you will. Well, if you were like in some tribe somewhere and you were like a fisherman or whatever, you had to teach your kid since he was little how to fish, or else, how is he going to survive when he's older, when he's an adult? And so it was a natural thing that fathers would take their kids along with them everywhere, they hunting or fishing or whatever, and teach them these little skills, the large and small skills necessary to survive.
Yeah.
And that was a powerful bond between the two, and it was a responsibility. But nowadays we're so atomized because it's sort of like, you're going to go off to college and learn a trade or something like that and wind up doing that, and you don't need your parents in that direct way that you did in the past.
Yeah.
And something's been lost. Something very important has been lost.
Yeah, completely. I think that's when people tend to look for sort of parental figures and other individuals as well, right? Like if you sort of look up to a teacher in the same sort of way. And I think you can do that with a few different people, but
well, there's nothing wrong with looking up to somebody who's in essence a stranger to you, because they might have something worthwhile, worth learning from. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's that you don't have that kind of relationship with your own flesh and blood.
Exactly. It's nice if you can have both those things, which it sounds like, luckily, it was son you have got, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a daughter who's 6 and a son who's 4. And, the girls are their mother's child, that's, yeah. And my kid, today, right now I was able to do the stream because today my wife and the kids had to go away on a little personal errand. And so that's why I'm able to do it, because right now it's like it's 10:30 almost, 10:30 at night. And I'd be home by now usually, but anyway, my kid had to leave. I mean, my kids had to leave, and my 4-year-old, he started to cry when he was saying bye-bye to me, and it just broke my heart. It's like, oh, man, he's already, and he hasn't even gone. And it's
I'm sorry to have dragged you away. Traumatizing.
But the thing is, see, I think it's really important to do those kinds of activities, those mundane activities,
I think as well,
with children. And I think also that a lot of people think that you have to do like quality time, and quality time means like spending money on something or some activity. But
no,
I disagree. Well, you seem to be pretty close with your old man.
Yeah, I am. But I was just sort of listening to you talk, obviously, unfortunately, and what I was going to say is enforce it as well, because I think I overlooked it, I think, when I was younger. And I think it was, I'm 32.
Okay.
But I think it took me probably till about 23, 25 before I really properly appreciate it. I think before that, you get to a certain stage where, dad's trying to sort of drag you out to do certain things. You're like, oh, I can't be bothered. I want to do my own stuff. I want to, play on my PlayStation or whatever it is that's kind of frivolous and pointless, which obviously, is within your rights to do as a kid. And that's not the worst thing in the world. But I definitely took for granted, I think, when I was younger, that he was there to do that sort of stuff, and still is. Luckily for me, obviously, I still get the chance to do this. And the biking thing really has been, I would say every single time I ring him or speak to him, we talk about bikes, which for anyone around probably is a little bit too much, and they probably sort of think get another subject. He rides, well, he's got a few actually. He sort of collects them, but he's got a Ducati at the moment. He's got 2 Ducatis. He's got Suzuki as well, some old thing. He's got a Royal Enfield, but no, he's the big one for him. The one he's connected with the most is definitely Italian. It's the Ducati Monster, which I get to ride as well. Yeah, he's got the original. I think is 750.
Yeah.
Not is one of the originals anyway. And then he's got between him and my brother, they ride a Ducati Monster S2R, which is an 800cc evolution of the bike, which is, I think it will still be one of the best bikes I've ridden to date, and I've ridden a few now, and I still think it's up there with the most responsive, most connected kind of bikes that I've ridden. There is something about it, just can't put my finger on it, but you can feel comfortable on that thing like you can't on practically anything else, on a lot of other bikes.
Well, the bike that I've been thinking about a lot is not so much a specific bike per se, but a bike class, which is like the sport touring bike, the bike that is for long distance touring, that's fast, but at the same time it's an adventure bike, and that's basically like the typical BMW. Well, they're up to 1290, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The big mother, yeah. By the way, I went
heavy bikes,
to a dealership, right? And I was surprised how light it is. I mean, you see it, and it's a big monster, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a picture. Do you have a picture of it that you can queue up real quick?
Of the BMW? Let me find one. Hold on. You're talking about is it the GS you're talking, or the big touring thing?
The GS. Let me see if I can find it myself here. It's this big mother of a bike. It's 1250 cc's. It's I think 175 horsepower. It's got the typical boxer engine, just big fairing, big basically steel tubing to protect the engine, right? And it's a proper adventure bike, right? And see it, standing there in the dealership, and it's like a car, but you hop on it, and it's surprisingly light. I mean, I could bend it over. I'd
Easy.
say, like lean it over, bend it over. Yeah, I mean, lean it over. I'd guess a good 25 to 30 degrees, and there was no point where I thought, oh, it's too heavy, it's gonna fall over.
I know a few people who own different variants of the GS.
Yeah.
The 1200. They've got this. I know Stu, who I'm friends with as well. His is monstrous. He's got the biggest one that you can go for.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're intimidating. They intimidate me to look at, or to sit on, or to think about riding. But I know that once you're moving, it all that extra weight sort of counts for nothing. It actually counts for stability more than anything else, because it helps when you get a bike that's quite heavy. It actually sometimes helps settle the bike. It doesn't feel quite as snappy or responsive, but little bumps or imperfections in the road don't tend to kind of upset it or unsettle it quite the same.
Yeah,
which is quite nice. But that's the thing about bikes, is that you can have a few different ones. I mean, if you were going to go for that, you'd probably still keep your little. Well, I know you want to get rid of your little Chinese thing. Usually, if you've got two bikes fulfilling the same sort of purpose, usually people get rid of them. But when you've got a few different, like if you have the Scrambler and the BMW, they fulfill very different purposes.
Totally different. Because that
happily keep both.
I'm looking at that one because, like I said, it's just a class, because it's that BMW, right, which is the typical big adventure bike. But there's also the Ducati Multistrada, the 1250, and that one I haven't ridden it yet, but same. I've sat on it, and it's a lot lighter than you think it is, and. The thing is, I don't quite know how dependable a Ducati is long term. I mean, over long distances, rather, because the BMW is going to be dependable as all get out. You're never going to have to worry about it. You're never going to have to give it a second thought, right? And so, but the Ducati, on the other hand,
a little bit there.
I beg your pardon?
Sorry, it was breaking up a little bit there. I missed your last point.
Oh, I said that with the BMW, the BMW is always going to be dependable. It's a bike that you'll never have to worry about insofar as it's breaking down on you at some point or anything like that.
Yeah.
The Ducati, well, the Italians always have this temperamental thing. you have
Yeah, it's attached to them for sure.
yeah. And so and they always say that Italians don't know how to do electricals, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue there. If there's any Italian listening, please don't shoot me and don't send the Gomorrah or the mafia after me. Thank you. But like, no, seriously, like, the bike I'm thinking is long distance touring because I want to do long distance touring. And in point of fact, this summer I would have gone on a long distance tour, but
Yeah.
a very stupid bureaucratic problem popped up that made it impossible for me to exit the country on a motorcycle, because basically in Ukraine you cannot leave the country on a vehicle that is not registered in your name. It's
Mhm.
to prevent theft.
Right.
And the vehicles that I own, I don't own them directly. I own them indirectly,
Mhm.
and because of that, it would actually they'd have to stop me at the border and not allow me to exit. It's actually like a big hassle, and
Right.
so I got to figure out how to fix that situation. But that's bureaucratic bullshit. But unfortunately, the bureaucratic bullshit is what kept me from. I wanted to do a little mini tour of Eastern Europe. Ah, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that,
they're so perfect for it. I mean, certain bikes are tested. You can look at reviews, and that's the great thing about this kind of share culture and the amount of stuff that's on the internet is you can find out if a bike's reliable or not. You can find forums, you can find out what the usual problem is, which is usually my starting point whenever I'm looking at something new. And yeah, I mean, all you have to watch is Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman doing the long way round or down on a BMW GS, and you know that it's built to last. It's built for touring. That's what it's made for. And there are a few different ones that are made for a similar purpose, like you say, Ducati Multistrada, Triumph Tiger is a similar kind of niche, and you get different sizes in them as well.
yeah, 'cause
And yeah,
there's the BMW, this one, right, the GS. Then there's
mhm.
Multistrada, the
Yeah,
Africa Twin, the hot.
yeah, Africa Twin, yeah, brilliant bike.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it here. Yeah, it's another big monster of a bike. It's just
Mm.
huge. What?
KTM as well. They do a 1290
Right?
adventure as well.
Yeah, the Super Duke 1290. Yeah.
Mm.
Again, another big monster of. I mean, they're all huge, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, what's what's the one that you have an eye on as your next bike,
Ooh,
or
good
next
question.
classic?
No, you know what? I tend to sort of, I don't want to say a flip flop. I scan quite broadly. I've jumped around. I've had a lot of different bikes, as I say. When I was saying
And
about
name
changing every 12 months, that's yeah in the UK. And I wasn't making it up. I really do flip flop between bikes, and 12 months is probably
What,
generous actually between when I
name
change.
bikes you've had so far?
So I started on the Suzuki SV
Right.
650. Then I moved to a Honda Hornet is the name, but it's a CB600,
Mm-hmm.
CB600F. Brilliant bike, very, very different to the Suzuki, but again, the same kind of weight class, same kind of size. And again, I would say a decent bike for somebody who is going to go up to their first big bike is the kind of term for it, right? Because you can get the smaller bikes like your, I forget the name of it, the Chinese bike that you had, the little 250s and things,
Right.
125s and
Right.
250s. They're a kind of bracket on their own. You go up to your first big bike and you're really looking, I would say, I would recommend always going for something kind of middleweight, middle size. So around a 600cc is kind of perfect. But more than that, it's kind of about the horsepower. If you go for something that's under about 70 brake horsepower, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable on it.
Yeah.
Anything above about 100, and you're kind of pushing the envelope a little bit too far, I would say, for your first starter or your first leap up.
So there's the thing about that is that, see, in the last 20 years, the technology has is in terms of power delivery has just increased almost exponentially, because like
Yeah,
back in the day, a bike that had 75 horsepower was considered a killer bike.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
and now my Scrambler has 75 horsepower, and it's like
Mm,
no big deal. It's 800cc, 75 horsepower, big deal.
yeah,
Now they're talking not even 200 horsepower; they're talking 220.
yeah.
There are bikes with that kind of power. It just seems insane. And by the
Yeah.
way, I don't even know where they're getting this power. I mean, what the hell?
I honest to God don't know what you do to an engine. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's still combustion. It's still it's still petrol firing in a cylinder, moves a piston somewhere. how do you get that tweak that kind of sort of power out of it? It's it's mind-boggling. It's they earn their money. They know what they're talking about, which
Clearly.
is why nowadays when you sort of start tampering with bikes and things, the funny thing is if you start sort of customizing your bike, it really is for the majority cosmetic, because unless you properly know what you're doing mechanically, there's not a lot more you can do to a bike to get out more performance from it other than cutting weight.
Yeah.
There really isn't. And more likely than not, you're just going to kind of mess something up, because they're all so advanced now, and the electronics are so advanced as well, that you can't really go fiddling around with sort of carburetors or, fuel injectors, it would be now, or, the ECU and stuff like that. You can sort of remap them a little bit. If you go to someone on a laptop, they can tweak it a smidge, but that's not general knowledge. That's not for, your friend down the lane that's sort of bike whisperer that can just get a little bit more performance out of it like it used to be. It's insane the sort of performance they can get from these machines.
Yeah, and like you said, if you mess with it even a little bit with the engine, you can screw it up. And
yeah, even exhaust you can screw up. Like I've got my friend changed his on his Ducati Monster, and it ran like shit because it was just sluggish, because he changed the back pressure on the exhaust enough that it kind of mucked up the whole rest of the bike, really.
Jesus.
So it can be something as simple as that. If you just get some cheap knockoff exhaust, it can really mess things up. So way better leaving it to the technicians.
Yeah. Well, and that's why the beauty of fiddling around with an old bike pre 95, I guess. What years is the bike that your brother is doing?
His is 70s. I think it's
70s.
Yeah, I think so.
That looked 80s. Is that old? Because
I think the model came out in 79, I think. So maybe it's in the early 80s.
Yeah, because the fairing sort of like, yeah.
Did it speak of 80s?
Very big 80s.
Something about it. Just spoke of George Michael.
But no, like the older bikes before 1995, I guess, right? Well, when was it like that pivot point where bikes got really electronic? I guess around like the 2000s, where they got.
Yeah, I would say I got a one of my bikes was, I think it was 2004. It started a choke on it. So past that point, they started to sort of get rid of the go to an automatic choke, fully automatic choke. Depending on the bike, it moves forward really with the whatever is their flagship bike. So if you go for something like, you could go for a slightly older, something like a CBR, one of their big liter sports bikes, and they'll have put the best of the best from that era on it. It takes a little while for it to trickle down into the other smaller bikes. So if you're going for kind of a lot of bikes, somewhere around the late 90s, early 2000s, it's sort of shift over a little bit.
Yeah, because the Shinray that I said cost me $1,500 brand new. That one has a manual choke. I mean, it's, and I was actually surprised that they still manufacture them, and then I realized that's the reason.
Some of them still got kickstarts as well from China.
It does. Mine does, proudly.
It's great though, because if everything else fails, you've still got that thing to turn it over. You can still kick it into action. Yeah,
exactly right. But yeah, the bikes today mechanically are so sophisticated that no, you don't want to mess with them. But the older bikes, yeah. And the beauty of it, because the older bikes, number one, they're incredibly cheap at this point. And then number two, they don't have the sophisticated electronics, so that they will still be running, and you will still be able to coax it into, being a viable motorcycle. Whereas with a bike today, that's the thing with all this electronics. If the electronics goes kaflooey, that's it. The bike is not moving.
Yeah, it's one of the more important things on it to get right. Yeah, I remember I was speaking to someone about the Gutsy. Actually, they were talking about even changing the clocks on the same model, I think, as mine, if not the newer one as well. Even if you change the clocks, it won't start, because it just goes, nope, you've taken something off that I needed, and then it just won't do anything.
Well, my concern is that it becomes like computers that they get so old that you can't restart them, that they don't work anymore.
There's something to be said. There's a benefit definitely to having that kind of basic mechanic. I think one of the kind of still kind of pervading brands that still make these bikes that kind of just still turn over no matter what. I was told the Royal Enfield Interceptor was a really good bike to work on for modders, or for custom shops, because again, it's still quite basic mechanics, whereby you can take off all of the electronics. Old Empire Motorcycles, in case you're not familiar with the shop, they made one basically, and they spoke quite highly about the fact that they took off literally everything and it still started and still ran. Whereas, you know, you'd name any other bike, modern bike, from the big manufacturers that would still do that, and there aren't many, if at all.
Well, I wonder if there's going to be a sea change, and in that manufacturers are going to realize that maybe so much sophistication and so much electronics is not such a good thing, or do you think that this is here to stay?
I think it's here to stay. I think it's here to stay more probably from the standpoint of electric vehicles, EVs, and electric bikes are going to become more prevalent and
What do
more
you think of
prominent.
that? You know, I've seen a couple of videos of these electric motorcycles. They seem kind of soulless, to tell you the truth.
I'm not necessarily against it, but yeah, there is something lacking at the moment. It's still quite early days, and I've ridden two of them. I'm actually going to ride a Zero in August, I think it is. I've got
Really? Yeah.
booked in. Yeah, there's a new one. There's SRF is the newest one they're bringing out, and it's, I think, released, if not the later part of this year, to 2020 at the latest. And it's their new sort of shift forward with it. And I'm looking forward to trying it. They are really fun. It's a hell of a shift. It's a hell of a difference.
You know,
But
BMW debuted an electric a concept. It was electric
yes,
concept.
yeah, like the R9T. It's similar too. They've tried to keep it looking somewhat like a Boxer Twin, which is their kind of iconic symbol. Really, the engine is
Yeah.
one of their big features. I like it. Again, some people really are resistant to this kind of shift forward, but unfortunately, I mean, at a certain point, it's going to change. It might not be to what almost certainly it won't be to what we're looking at right now, and that will adapt and change. But there is a change or a shift coming. Hopefully, not too in the near future. Hopefully, it's a little ways off, because I still do like. I mean, a bit of a caveman about it. I'm not as kind of stuck in my ways as some people, but I like the combustion engine. And in a bike in particular, I really like the way that it kind of performs. There's something that you won't be able to get out of an electric bike that you definitely can out of a petrol one, which I think will be a shame to miss. But I think they need to sort of start thinking about ways of making it a little bit more interesting. And I think it's going to be the main manufacturers will be the ones to do that.
It's that in my own case, what I like is what we were talking about earlier, that all of your limbs are operating at the same time, and therefore you're sort of like fully concentrated. On an electric bike, it's just throttle. That's it. Throttle, brake.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is. It's weird. It's really weird when you go on it for the first time, because there's no clutch. So
Well,
literally, you're sort of like, well, what does my left hand do? It's got nothing to do. It just sort of sits there.
yeah, but it's a
Um,
Vespa, you know.
yeah, yeah. Essentially, it is. Yeah, and they work really well for a city. The thing that I've quite liked about it is actually, I say they work really well. There is a small caveat to that, and I think the big point is that it doesn't make a noise, which is a really contentious issue. And obviously, some bikes take it too far, and they're raucous loud, they're obnoxiously loud.
Yeah.
But there is something safer about it making some kind of noise, whatever that is. And I know some people are resistant to that, but it is an important thing. But they do work well for a city, because if you've commuted for any length of time, if you do a lot of commuting on motorcycles, you'll know that it gets frustrating changing gears, and actually that scooters at a certain point do make sense. I can't ever see myself going to one, but when you look at people sat at lights and they look comfy, seriously comfortable, and you're sat there and your hands cramping up because you're still pulling in the clutch, you do look over with a little bit of envy that you'd like to mask, because it's not as cool. Which is what I tend to do when I'm looking at delivery riders and stuff in London, because they do look a little bit more cool than I am.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, how many times have you been like sort of like in stop and go traffic, and all of a sudden you're just like, you lose concentration for a little bit and you stall out because you pop the clutch and on fourth gear and you were going at 10 kilometers an hour, or something.
Yeah,
like this. Yeah, it's happened to everybody. Yeah, and it's annoying and embarrassing, of course. But
yeah.
oh god, yeah. Oh,
as long as there's no one around to see it, you're all good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But electric bikes work really well for that purpose, because it is just twist and go.
Yeah.
But again, there is something missing from the enjoyment, and it is quite enjoyable when you do a good gear change, as sort of as small a point as that may
Yeah.
be. It's satisfying when you know you've ridden it well or you've changed gear and it's
Yeah.
smooth and it's,
When
you're in connection with it, and
actually,
you don't get
have
that
you
kind of connection with electric.
ever a quick shifter? I've never used it. I've
I
never.
have, and that took me a little while as well. I won't say I was resistant to that, but I didn't necessarily see the kind of fuss behind quick shifters or why people are keen to have them on more bikes. But I tried. I've tried some since, and I have to say they make sense when you use them in the right way. When you get used to how they're best utilized, for sure. Yeah,
Which is how.
and which is mainly in a straight line for me was the big thing. If you're trying to accelerate quickly, it's more useful for a track
Mhm.
because you wouldn't. It can make you a little bit lazy, I suppose, if you were doing it on road, if you're just on some twisty B roads and things. But if you're on a track, it makes complete sense that you can just, chomp through gears easily with no kind of clutch in, and you can actually do that. You can actually change gear without using the clutch on practically any bike,
Sure.
if not any bike.
Just
Um,
drop the revs and you.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a real art to it, and that's a really satisfying thing as well. But when you're using a quick shifter, if you're going in a straight line and you've really got to get somewhere quickly, you just hold on. You can just fire through gears. It is quite nice, and it certainly is quicker because it takes out those milliseconds in between changing gears. As fast as you think you are, obviously the quick shifter is going to be quicker.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then the down change got to take a bit of getting used to for me. They call it an auto blipper, but it basically meets the revs as you change down if you've got a quick shifter up and down. And that sometimes can be a little finicky on certain bikes where you have to kind of keep it in high revs or you have to just sort of judge it just right. Otherwise, you get a little bit of a jolt as it changes gear, which when I first did it, I didn't really like. But I think what I was really missing was the fact that I really like rev matching, which is something that took me a little while to get used to. But I really, really enjoy when I get a good downshift going into a corner.
People don't know what rev matching is. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, sure. And again, the weird thing is commuting sort of actually helped me with this one. But essentially what you do is if you're changing down gears, obviously if you're going to a lower gear, so if you're going from something like third to second, it's going to be the engine will be working harder and revving higher if you're in second gear as opposed to third at the same kind of speed. So if you're doing something like 50 miles an hour and you're in third gear, if you knock it down at a gear, it's going to be revving higher in second than it was in third. So you need to, in the moment when you pull in the clutch lever, just raise the revs enough to meet where it would need to be when you then release the lever and you're in that next gear. And racers use it because it helps not to unsettle the bike. So you can change down gears. There's a few different sort of benefits to it. One is that you don't wear your brakes quite as much. It saves on your brake wear, although it's you might as well use your brakes. It's cheaper to replace that than it is to damage a piston, but it shouldn't damage the piston because it just basically works off the compression of the cylinder to slow you down. How bikes have obviously got front brake, back brake, and engine braking if you're actually trying to sort of slow down for certain things. And you can use that engine braking to your advantage when you're setting up for a corner. And it, like I say, helps keep the bike completely stable, completely level. If you manage to get it just right, you don't get any kind of notch or jolt from the bike. It stays completely level, and then you can set up for the corner a little bit smoother. That sounded a little bit waffly and a bit too quick, probably, but that's essentially what it is. And the first time I managed to actually do it for myself, the first few times I definitely cocked it up. But the more you try it, the more you get used to it, and it's a really enjoyable thing, and it can make you feel a little bit better than you possibly are.
Yeah,
it makes me feel like I'm a racer.
I really like engine braking because it feels very satisfying somehow, in a way that I can't quite explain. When you're coming up on a curve, you knock it down from fourth to third or third to second, and hit that curve, and you're in a lower gear, and you're going to be able to pop right out of that curve. It just feels just really satisfying in a very weird way.
Yeah. And if you can get all three kind of things working together, because you do still need to use your brakes, obviously, or sometimes at least, depending on the bike and how much engine braking you have. But if you can get all of it to work well together, the setup and the corner that follows is so much smoother and so much more rewarding if you can manage to do it perfectly. And that's one of the kind of really kind of nuances of riding, where once you've got that right, it's seriously satisfying.
You know, the thing about electric bikes that I think is going to happen, I think there are going to be more accidents on electric bikes because you don't have
I would agree.
that focus, that concentrated. Do you agree with that rationale?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah. There's a few different reasons. I think there'll be at the moment they're definitely as well not quite up to scratch with regular petrol bikes, because the delivery is such a specific thing, and it's delivered in a very different way than it would be on a petrol motorcycle. So yeah, when you're setting up for corners again, there is no traction control yet on the Zero.
Oh, really?
But yeah, as far as I'm aware, I mean, there is some kind of electronic limitation on it, because as far as the actual delivery goes, because it is a motor, an electric motor, as opposed to pistons firing up, it doesn't have the same kind of inertia. Or when you're trying to get pistons to fire to move a bike, you need to overcome the weight of the piston, the weight of the engine.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get up to a certain amount of revs before it really starts to perform and hits its peak. Whereas with a motor, because it's uniform, it makes almost as much power when it sort of starts off as when it gets up to peak. So you're not trying to chase revs on an electric motor the same way you would be on a motorbike. So it's so immediate. It's just there straight out of the gate. You twist the throttle, and it just fires off. So the only limitation is between the tire and the tarmac. The actual bike itself is working almost optimum. So they need to kind of electronically limit that so that it doesn't just wheel spin and buck you off. But at the moment, I've seen a few people actually come off, or heard of some as well, coming off in the wet because they're, setting up for something, or, riding around a corner, and they've overestimated their grip, rolled on, and it's span out because it's not got the traction control at the moment. I think with some of the Zero range, I don't know whether it's all of them, but some of the bikes certainly. And I'm sure the SRF probably, I'm hoping, addresses this, and from other manufacturers, I'm sure they will as well.
Well,
but it's delivered in a different way, so it takes some getting used to.
One of the things I'm thinking about electrics is that it doesn't seem to me that designers have yet to really grasp the design possibilities with electrics, because all the electric bikes I've seen are basically like a regular motorcycle, but they really haven't gone like in the direction of, like, I don't know, like Tron, or the science fiction movie, right?
Yeah.
I haven't, at least I haven't seen anywhere any kind of like, the reason a motorcycle is the way it is, right, is because the motorcycle was designed to carry an internal combustion engine. That was the key issue. It had to be able to carry that engine, and so between the wheels made sense. And so there you have the motorcycle. But the engines on an electric bike, because you can have two if you want. They haven't really. It doesn't seem to me that they've explored real, out of the box thinking insofar as design. And I'm sure that stage will hit once this first wave of electric bikes is like, okay, it's receded, it's going back and pulling up again. Then the second wave, I think, will be really interesting. I mean, I'm not negative on electric bikes, is what I'm trying to say. But at this point,
no, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Interestingly, there is one company, I think, or there's probably more than just one. But have you seen the Arc Vector, which I've just called up there?
Yeah, I have seen it. Let me just so everybody can see it permanently. Yeah. Do you have a side picture of that? Because what's interesting is the front forks, or lack of forks. I don't know what you call the front.
Yes. Yeah, I've forgotten the name for it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hinged in a different way because it comes back.
Do you have one that's more sideways?
Photo. I'll call one up now. Yeah. Just trying to find one. That's
actually... this is like a much more interesting design. But this seems to be like the beginning of I did see this one. But this is just conceptual. It's not like an actual vehicle, right?
They're moving forward with it, but yeah, they're not into production. It's more the fact, actually, I think they have actually kind of defined that they are going to go forward with it, but the price was kind of astronomical. I think it was
like how much?
Oh, it was in the kind of 100,000 up towards around that mark. I don't want to completely make up a figure, but I know it was more than 70. More than I could afford. Let's put it that way. Or would want to
Like the
afford.
Arch motorcycle, Keanu Reeves outfit. You heard of that?
Yeah, yes,
Bikes?
yeah. We have one of those actually. I've seen them in the flesh as well. They are
Oh,
beautiful.
really?
But
What's it
yeah,
like?
again, they had it in the bike shed. It's huge. It's monstrous.
Yeah.
Is the best way to
Oh,
describe it. I think.
for those of you who don't know, Keanu Reeves, the actor, of course, he is partnered up with a guy who makes motorcycles. It's called Arch Motorcycles, and you can look it up. And they have the weirdest designs for motorcycles. These are high performance bikes, and
Yeah.
they start at $75,000. Okay? And they're just monstrously big. I forget how many cc's the engine has, but the whole thing is like, I mean, it's like handmade motorcycles, and
Yeah.
they're just and they're manufactured out in Los Angeles, and apparently the bikes are supposed to be extraordinarily good.
Yeah. So I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean,
this
you'd
what?
hope so for the money, I would say. I'd
Goddamn
be very disappointed if I got it and it was just a trophy piece. But
yeah. So
but
yeah,
yeah, this is a slightly different angle of the arc that you can see. I couldn't find one fully side profile, but you can see where the suspension mounts and the steering is mounted obviously lower down as well,
I mean, this is
which is
weird
unique.
bike.
Yeah, really, really strange. Yeah, it will take some getting used to, but I guess it's still kind of mounted. It was still representing the same kind of, like we say, what we know about a motorcycle, right? How they're kind of
Yeah,
represented, which is a callback from the petrol motors. Which
yeah,
I think you're right. I would like to see them go their own direction with it and kind of take it their own. I think part of that might be at the moment that they're trying to not to alienate an audience. And obviously, since people are kind of resistant to it anyway, maybe they're trying to kind of ingratiate themselves with the biking crowd and not kind of freak them out a bit too much to the point where they don't want to try an electric bike.
I agree with you that they're probably trying to do that. One of the things that freaks me out right away is that no forks. This is drive by wire. That
Yeah.
freaks me out. That
Yeah.
has always freaked me out. The notion that an electronic controller moves your wheels. I
Yeah.
like to feel it directly plugged in. I don't want it to be. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, completely. But I would say this isn't technically the first time that's been used either. There was Bimota made a similar one.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Tessie 30, I think it is, which I'll try and get a photo of as well. Which again uses a very similar kind of steering setup, which worked on that bike. I haven't heard of people coming off and crashing or it failing and breaking.
Well, that's the thing. All this shit depends on electronics, right?
Yeah.
And what happens when the electronics fails? You get water into the little computer chip and you're fucked, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it just freaks me out, And what if there are no upgrades or whatever? There's no software upgrade, or it gets phased out, and the bike just becomes inert. I just don't. I can't cotton to so much electronics for personal vehicles. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is kind of nifty.
That is, if you find one of those, or that's a conversation starter. I think we would call that.
Oh yeah.
If you saw that in a car park, you'd be coming over and asking questions about that.
Jesus, what the hell? What's this, by the way?
It's a Bimota Tessie 30.
What year was it?
When did they recently stop this? Sorry, there was an article I was reading, or the image that I got it up was from 2017. They just shut down making these, so it was up to 2017 they've made this bike. But this is a real sort of curiosity breed. This is one of the ones that only certain people know about as well, and you need to kind of know someone to get a hold of one of these, I think.
It must be expensive and incredibly complicated to maintain.
Yeah, I can't imagine it'd be easy to find someone to service it.
No. No, I mean, I'm
which
looking at it, right, but this is mechanical. I mean, the steering, right?
Oh yeah, no, completely. Yeah, it comes from a time, from 2017 as well. It's like you say. I think we're talking about the electric bikes and something shutting down, and then it just sort of stopping and worrying you, because it is. I completely agree with you. If something goes wrong at that kind of, if it goes wrong at the wrong time, then there's very little you can do to remedy the situation, I think, which is a concern. But no, this comes from a more kind of mechanical standpoint for sure. So yeah, you
I
can
once
have a bit more faith in it.
on a Vespa of all things, because the I forget the word in English. The a Vespa is basically automatic transmissions, right? And
Yes.
the accelerator got stuck. Okay,
Yeah.
and because there was not enough lubricant in the wire going to the actual from the grip to the engine, right?
Mhm.
And I wiped out because basically it wouldn't, it kept on revving, and nothing I did to the throttle changed it, and I just started braking, and it just started shaking, and I was heading towards stopped cars. It was at a red light, right? And I just went down with the bike, with the scooter, and
Mm.
it was not pleasant, right? But this was like a mechanical failure, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine like an electronic failure with your steering. Jesus Christ, I mean, at least when I went down with the scooter, I sort of like knew how to handle it. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm just gonna have to take it down, because this all happened in fractions of a second, or maybe 3 seconds. The whole experience tops, right?
Mm.
And it unfortunately didn't occur to me to do the smart thing, which was just to turn off the ignition, because Vespas, they don't have an on-off switch,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
so
like a kill switch.
they don't have a kill switch. No.
Okay.
And so, I mean, the Vespas are the closest thing to an electric bike, because it's just brake and throttle, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. And of course, indicator lights and high beams and such. But
Mm.
no gears, no nothing. And it's on the one hand, it's a lot of fun, but when they fail, and you go down. And yeah, but anyway, um, that spill that I took, I spilled that scooter back in 2008. I think I did, right.
Mhm.
Oh, it wasn't fun, but okay, I could handle it. But the idea of, like, some in any random situation, just a short circuit of some sort, and you have no steering, and the wheel just starts going wherever it wills. That is just eerie. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if
I know
it's a,
what you mean, yeah. I do know what you mean, and it is concerning for sure.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I guess we'll have to just sort of find out when they start making these things. You would hope there would be some kind of fallback, something, some kind of safety thing put in place as a foundation, that if something did fail, you could go back to it. And obviously, a lot of the bikes that they're doing at the moment, a lot of the electric bikes they are bringing out, the steering is still yours. So the short of kind of the throttle cranking wide open, the more likely thing is that you'd run out of battery power, which is, I think, at the moment, my biggest kind of hang up with it, and the reason I wouldn't necessarily want to jump to them.
Well, these electric bikes are going to be really designed for city use, right?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of key thing with it, is that it's more that we either change the way, if petrol completely disappears, and who knows, in theory it would at some point, then we would all be over to electric bikes, and either we change the way that we use it, and our use of the bike itself, or there's a trade-off, and there's different options, I think. I know they're talking about, with electric vehicles for bigger kind of haulage vehicles, they're talking about still using the kind of hydrogen power stuff for long distance, and the electric cars and the smaller stuff are just used for, I don't know, 50-mile range or something similar, so you can go there and come back.
Well,
And I think the same will be true of bikes, where you can either transport it to somewhere where you want to go and do a short blat, or use it for a city, and maybe still keep your petrol bike or something else to do a longer distance and a nicer trip.
I think that what's going to happen is actually quite different. I think that they're going to work on the battery charging technology, and eventually
Yeah.
get to a point where they can charge a battery fully in, say, 5 minutes.
Yeah, that would be nice too. Yeah, sorry, that is the the other option. I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
At the moment, I think they're saying they're down to about half an hour. I think for a full charge on certain ones with a like a quick charge.
and
So when the infrastructure is
there's so
there,
much
it'll
brain
be.
power working on that problem. I think that that's where the solution is going to come to eventually. That they're going to figure out a way to hypercharge the battery in short order.
Yeah,
They're kind of like doing that now with phones. I've noticed. Like I recently got a new iPhone, right, and it charges a lot faster than my last iPhone. And
yeah. I like to show off with my girlfriend about that as well.
yeah,
Well, I tend to gloat because she's got an older phone as well, and mine's. I'm like, look, it's done in half an hour.
yeah, yeah. But whatever there is that they're tweaking to the batteries and that ability to charge faster, I think that
Yeah,
that kind of technology is gonna appear in once they get it under 5 minutes, an acceptable length of time. To tell you the truth, you know how long it's going to take? It has to be the time it takes you to go pee. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. When they get it down to that, that's it. They've nailed it.
yeah, exactly. You know, if it's long enough to go pee, you're set. You're golden. You know,
Because at the moment, even if it's half an hour, if they manage to get it down to half an hour, if it's a nice service station that you're stopping at, if it's a bigger one that you can actually stop at, it's not beyond possibility that you're like, oh, okay, I'll go and have a burger or something and
yeah,
wait for it to
yeah, a
charge,
bit
right?
smoke. You know, this that amount of time. If they can get it to that amount of time, then electrics are really going to take over
Yeah.
because
No, I agree with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
there isn't going to be any kind of real rationale to have a car because at this point it's yeah, who wants to be standing around for half an hour or an hour or 2 hours while the battery is charging? Okay.
Yeah.
And do keep in mind also something else. 10 years ago, you had to wait a full 12 hours to charge an electric battery. Okay.
Yeah.
10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So to think that in 10 years they're not going to crack that nut, no, I think so.
No,
Listen,
they definitely will.
it's been terrific. We've gone over 2 hours. I think we've tried the patience of our audience. Guys, listening, Tim and I have been just totally talking motorcycles, which is totally not the topic of this channel, but it's just been a lot of fun for me. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Yeah. And yeah, Tim, guys, you got to go and check out Tim's channel. And it's in the description below. Tim, is any last word you wanna leave the audience with?
Well, yeah, Joe, yeah, please feel free to check out my channel. But no, I was just going to say to you, thank you very much. It's been it's been enjoyable speaking to you for this amount of time. And yeah, I've just stumbled across your channel as well, and I'm loving the work you do.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your channel, and I can't wait for the next episode of
The BMW.
yeah.
It's coming, I swear to God. I'm going up there in a week's time. So I'll be doing an update on that in about under a month.
Oh yeah, and tell your brother that the white walls. No.
I will tell him that. Yeah, I'll get rid of the print though. I'll tell him to get rid of the stickers.
Yeah, but no, the white walls, man. That is a unique and very classy touch. I'm like right on the money. Because it works.
Thank you.
Because of the chrome and how he's chromed out that bike, it works really, really well. So anyway, this has been a live stream from Coach Red Pill's channel and with Rarefied Road. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Take it easy.
Thank you.